Now that Carol's got a friend, how will this dynamic change? Hey everyone, welcome to Prince of the Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with Carol in the End of the World, episode 3. So yeah, I'm very interested to see where this is going to go, because there's only a limited number of episodes. And this isn't going to be like a multi-season thing or whatnot. So, in 10 episodes, where are they going to go for this? What's going to happen? What's Carol's journey going to be like? We now have a friend in the mix, and she's going to definitely be helping connect with Carol, and there's going to be like some good relationship stuff brewing. It's going to allow both of them to be able to survive this apocalypse pretty well. And yeah, it's a question on whether this apocalypse is even going to happen or not, because it almost feels like that would be too morbid to know that this series is going to end with everybody dying, but it also might be the point. You know, the idea of living your best life at all times and everything, kind of that kind of message, moral, etc. Um, it's hard to say exactly what it's going for after only 2 episodes, though. We definitely need to see more to really get a good feel for it, but like I've been saying, this series is like an actually mature, actual adult series that touches on some very big, important topics, some very big, important concepts, and isn't just, vulgarity for the sake of vulgarity. And don't get me wrong, like, there is a time and place for vulgar humor. There absolutely is. I'm not saying that those things shouldn't exist, but you have to know how to integrate them into a show to make them feel natural. When a show is pretty much nothing but that, it's not natural, it's not believable, and it's very much not enjoyable. The humor doesn't work when it's all there is. You have to have it in these short bursts. But a lot of adult animated series don't understand that, and probably never will. So we just have to live with what we got here. Now, before we begin, one last thing. If you notice me sniffling or if I cough at any point, I do have a little bit of a cold. Luckily, it's nothing more than that. Um, I've been working to combat it. I've been, sucking down cough drops occasionally, drinking healthier stuff like no pop and whatnot. Though I do have some alcohol, because that helps me deal with shit. But I'm like, even like, I have a crock pot of soup being made right now in the kitchen. Broccoli cheese. So that's gonna help too. I know how to combat this stuff. I know how to combat colds and whatnot. And I'm just lucky. I'm just glad it's not anything worse. And honestly, I've had worse than this. Like, this isn't even the worst cold I had. There have been colds I've had where I could not pretty much function. Those are the really bad ones. I'm pretty fine, like, all things considered here. Um, I just wanted to let you know, just because I might be sniffling, I might be coughing a little bit. I'm not coughing a lot, by the way. I've been okay with that. But I might occasionally cough. I might occasionally bring up this and like wipe my nose a little bit because it's been a little runny. But just wanted to let you know. I'm doing good. Everything's fine. It's just a cold, luckily. um, so yeah, we're good. We're Gucci. Just wanted to give you forewarning. But that being said, let us get into the episode and see what Carol and the End of the World has for us today. Cutting in here real quick to remind you of all the awesome content we have on the channel. Between Monday and Friday, we have a plethora of awesome series reactions, with 2 on Wednesday. We also have movie reactions every Saturday and Sunday. I pre-record them during the week, but upload them on the weekend. And don't forget about the gaming channel. We have Baldur's Gate 3 every single day. We have Horizon Forbidden West every Monday and Friday. Tuesdays and Thursdays is Life is Strange Double Exposure. And Wednesdays and Sundays is Beyond Two Souls. On Saturdays, we have both Poppy Playtime and Nier Automata. And on top of that, don't forget to click the link in the description below to get to today's reaction. I redirect everything just due to copyright. You know how it is. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like this video if you want to see more awesome content such as this. Thank you so much for tuning in. And for now, let's get to today's reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, this is a really interesting series for me. Because on one hand, you have the more adult concepts in this, and like, you know, nudity and shit. But on the other hand, and stay with me here, this series weirdly makes me feel like a kid again. Let me explain. One of the big themes of this series, from what I'm gathering from these first 3 episodes, is a feeling of freedom. Not like actual freedom, not like the literal, like, substance version of it, but just the internal feeling of it. And how it's represented through various means. Last episode we saw when Carol first started working here. We see how she gains this sense, this vibe of freedom, because she finds something that makes sense to her, something that helps her during this fucked up time. And in this episode, she continues to find freedom by bonding with and becoming friends with Donna and Luis, who themselves find the same freedom in becoming friends with each other and her. It's this feeling of, like, kind of what everyone else in this world is going for, like the entire world is your playground, except instead of using that as an excuse to party, to get drunk, do all the drugs, go on all these trips, they're using it to have this sense of normalcy, to have this sense of peace. They're using this feeling of freedom to find their happiness in normalcy. And that feels very childlike to me. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm not saying it feels like immature or anything. I mean, think back to when you're a child. When life is simple and all you're really worried about is, like, if your friend can come out to play or whatnot. You're just living. You're just living your life in a way that makes you happy. In a way that makes you feel fulfilled. Because you're a kid. You don't think about, like, all the ins and outs, the depths, the strains, the stresses of life. And that's what's happening here, too. Carol, Donna, Luis, probably a lot more than just them. They're living without having to worry about these stresses. Because they probably feel like focusing on the end of the world by partying and by, like, trying to, you know, cross off everything off the bucket list, it would give almost this validity to the fact that they're probably going to die. By choosing to remain in this kind of state of oblivion, or not oblivion, obliviousness. Um, they're choosing to just not deal with the stresses and all of the world and just do what makes them happy. Something they probably haven't been able to do as much since they were kids. And watching this as a 32-year-old, as someone who is constantly stressed out, as someone who has extreme anxieties about this country, this world, life in general, it brings me back to those times as well, where I just focus on what makes me happy, and those fears, those anxieties melt away. And it's actually a tactic that is not new to me because I use it all the time. But it's something I don't really think about. I use it as a coping mechanism to deal with all the stresses and concerns of real life. Whenever like something bad happens or something scary happens or whatnot, one of my like instant ideas of what to do is, oh, I'm going to go onto YouTube and watch some fun videos. I'm going to go watch this series. I'm going to play some games, yada, yada, yada. I distract myself. And there's some people who will tell you that that's unhealthy, that you shouldn't try to just ignore the troubles of the world around you, but that you should learn how to, you know, thrive through it all. And even use it to your advantage to help yourself move forward. Stuff like that. But I think a lot of people really underestimate the healing power of ignorance. I know that sounds fucking weird, but think about it. Sometimes just ignoring a problem for a little bit of time, it feels so freeing. You know it's not going to go away. You know it's going to still be there once you're done distracting yourself. But for that time, you just feel all of the stress lift off your shoulders. And you feel free. And it allows you to go back into the world that all this stress comes from with a more clear head. With the ability to, you know, analyze situations better and be able to, you know, really conceptualize what you want or need to do next. I feel just so many people look at ignorance as a bad thing. They don't understand that there are ways to use it in a very positive manner. It just depends on you. Are you using it to run, to ignore, or are you using it to give yourself a break, to feel safe for a little bit? And I feel like the characters in this are kind of going through a bit of both. They're absolutely running from the truth of the matter. They're absolutely trying to distract themselves so they don't have to think about it or don't have to focus on it. But I think that the more they grow, the more that they even bond, it's starting to shift a little, and it's becoming less of just a distraction and more of, you know, something they want to do to heal their minds, to help them through it. And the difference there, it might not even be a massive difference, but it is a difference still, and it matters. And I think one of the best sequences of this episode was the confusing as fuck dream sequence. Because that entire overnighter thing, we really don't know what in that was real. Because there were so many moments of each of them waking up and everything. so many moments of like, oh, cutting the banana bread and it's not like going down or anything. There's still so much goddamn banana bread. It's like you don't entirely know how much of that was real, how much of that was fake. The only thing we know was fake for sure was the entire death by banana bread part. So it's really, really interesting to see that kind of sequence used in that way. And the thing is, I don't think it matters. I don't think it matters what was real or not. This isn't like the Todd Phillips Joker movie, where like knowing what's real or not is kind of integral to the story and to understanding the character and how he's being written. This is a matter of like they are bonding. That much is true. These three are bonding, they are growing closer, and they're becoming friends. And no matter which of these things are dreams, the fact is they're dreaming about spending time together. All of them are dreaming about spending time together, having these discussions about like if they're dead or not, or if this is some kind of performance art. Just eating banana bread and whatnot. And it's like, that's kind of beautiful. That amongst all of this confusion with how that scene was like portrayed, there's no answer that matters. Because that wasn't the point. And this episode also touched on its themes of freedom and like doing what you want to do and everything, with even the B plot, the stuff with the parents, the throuple and everything, and the captain on the cruise ship. Like that wasn't focused on the parents and the RN. That entire sequence was focused on the captain. This captain who had spent, like, what was it, 30 years of his life as a cruise captain on multiple different cruises and has found no fulfillment. He's just gone along with the what's the phrase? He's gone with the flow. His entire life pretty much at this point. And it's just like Carol, Donna, and Luis at the beginning there. When they're like first at the company and everything. They're just going with the flow, just vibing with it. And they only start to change and grow and find that freedom once they start talking to each other and, becoming friends, once they start bonding. And with the captain, he realizes he's been doing this his entire life and has found no fulfillment in it. He has nothing positive, no great memories, just going by the numbers. Like it's even represented through like the fact that he's telling the same story to all of these different people that he meets. He's unhappy. And so when he chooses to seek out that freedom by leaving the cruise ship, which I still wonder what's going to happen with that cruise ship now. You see the RN guy, I don't remember if his name was ever stated, probably was, I don't remember it. But you see him watching out the window and you see him smile because he could tell that the captain was depressed, honestly. But now he's gone out there into the world to find hope, to find something to look forward to. And although it definitely leaves the people of the cruise at a little bit of a loss there, it's like that's kind of what this series it seems to be like telling us as viewers. Not that we should necessarily abandon all of our priorities to go off and do who knows what, but that we need to live our lives in a way that brings us happiness, that brings us fulfillment, and makes us feel like it was a life worth living. It seems like a very stereotypical lesson to teach for an end of the world type series. Like, oh, live your best life as long as you have it and everything. Yeah. But the way it's being handled here is so mature. It's tackling it in a very, like, realistically, almost sad way. Because this isn't a comedy. This series has some comedy in it, but it's not a comedy series. This is a drama. And it's very much focusing on that aspect of things. Each of these episodes tackles this stuff in a very serious, very mature way. And we get to see how these characters grow and develop because of it. I'm just insanely impressed with what's been done with this. Like, when I watched the first episode of this, I really loved it, and I was super impressed then, but it's like, it just continues to wow me every time. I genuinely don't understand how this series isn't talked about more. Yet you have shows like Family Guy or Rick and Morty getting all this constant attention. And it's just like, this is what it means to truly be an adult animated series. Because this is an animated series that actually feels like it's made for adults and not giggling, dumb teenagers who think crass humor is the peak of comedy. This feels like it was actually made for adults to help them through it. And by it, I mean pretty much everything about life. And it's just so good. It's so amazing. It's beautiful. And I only wish that more adult animated series were like this rather than those other shows. But that's just the beginning, I feel. We're still like only a third of the way through this series. And I'm very interested to see what comes next, especially with this other guy that we saw at the end there. I mean, he might end up joining our friend group as well. Also, I just love, by the way, the very, very casual way that they dropped that Luis is queer. He just very casually, very briefly mentions coming out to his parents and all. And it's so casual. It's so just... Because no one cares. Not only because it's the end of the world, but... Like, what reason do Donna or Carol have to judge there? And I love that. It's like there's just... They don't care one way or the other. They don't even, like, really react to that. And I love that it's just so casual and so nice. Again, something I wish more things were able to do, and I wish it was able to be more realistic in the world, rather than everybody having to worry so much about coming out, especially in the modern day after, all the shit that's been going down lately. But yeah, I really like that. I like learning about Donna's family, and learning that she ran a nail salon and everything. It's just like these cool little details. Hearing about Luis's backpacking trip around the world. Stuff like that is just like really cool. It just gives these characters character and makes them feel more realistic. And I adore how they're working with that. I really love it. But tell me in the comments below, what did you think of this episode of Carol and the End of the World? Let me know, and thank you so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.